What's up, you filthy casuals? Welcome to Casual Shenanigans Gaming, a podcast all about the irreverent love of gaming. I'm one of your hosts, Jeremiah. I am joined tonight by Joel, Dave, and James.
What's up?
How is it going, everybody? Dave, I need you to vamp for just one moment, because when OBS crashed, it took some stuff with it. Pretend like this is all normal.
This is a podcast.
Everything is fine. We're back. I fixed it from noticing it to fix it. I did it in 5 seconds. Who's used to everything breaking? This guy.
Next topic is Jeremiah's love of NVIDIA.
Welcome to episode 101 of Casual Shenanigans Gaming. We have been promising big things to you for several weeks, and tonight we are here to mediocrely deliver on them. Mediocrely is not a word, but that's fine.
We'll do better than Drive Club, though.
But yeah, so this podcast was going for 100 episodes, and this is now episode 101, like I've said. And we have big changes coming for you, because we love you guys. We love making the podcast. We want this podcast to be the absolute best it can possibly be. So just a brief history of the podcast for the people who may not know. We started this thing because we wanted to have a podcast leading up to the launch of the DayZ standalone, and we wanted to talk about cool stuff.
And we're still leading up to the DayZ.
No, for the beta, for the alpha, okay? And, you know, so we wanted to be all ready for that when it happened. And as it so happened, it did not come out 2 or 3 weeks after we started the podcast like we thought it was going to, but the podcast kept going.
We were well prepared for that launch, though. Like, we were ahead of the curve.
Our first month, we got about 250 listeners, which, to be honest, is not that impressive. Considering at the time we thought it was probably going to be a little better, considering that between us, well, mostly with Dave, we had like 12,000 YouTube subscribers plus like 400 on my end. And, you know, we probably thought it was going to do a little bit better. But over time, we've gotten better. The podcast has gotten better. The podcast has grown. And we are now clearing about 8,000 people a month, which is not big in the scheme of big podcasts, but for the quality of content we're delivering to you, that's fairly impressive.
For where we started.
So thank you, everybody. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And we have a lot of stuff to talk to you about tonight. Unless you thought, like, you guys who are watching this live will have noticed, we are streaming on YouTube. We'll start with that. You might be thinking, wow, that's everything you've been teasing for a couple months is YouTube? No, that's completely
that would be horrible if it was just YouTube.
Guys, we moved. But we'll start with YouTube because everyone obviously has noticed that by now. We are streaming on YouTube for now. That doesn't mean we've ditched Twitch. We actually have twitch.com/casualshenanigans if you want to go subscribe to it. I recommend you go do that because we will be using it for streaming games and community events and stuff like that. We do care about Twitch, but if you guys haven't noticed, Twitch breaks a lot of stuff when we're doing the podcast. Tonight, that's not what broke. My NVIDIA drivers crashed Skype and OBS, which has never happened, but I have a lot of things to say about NVIDIA drivers lately. But that particular problem has never happened. Joel, you'll be pleased to know my PlayStation has not crashed once. But
I'm pleased.
Yeah, thanks. But yeah, we are streaming out on our Casual Shenanigans YouTube channel. And the reasons we're doing that is it has greater stability than Twitch. That's like the number one reason. Number two reason is you can stream in 1080p to YouTube without much problem. The problem with Twitch is if I stream in 1080p, 60 FPS, 5 megabit, you all have to watch that same stream because we're not partnered. So that's really hard on people's connections. So I usually stream at 720p, really low bit rate, etc., etc. Now you can view us in glorious full HD, running the same bit rate that YouTube uses for all its 1080p videos because my connection is pretty beast because I'm like the 1% of Americans who has their choice of multiple good cable providers.
You hear that, guys? HD beards, finally they're here.
But yeah.
Joel, you don't have a beard. I can't. Now that I can see clearly.
Well, this hasn't changed for you, James. What are you talking about?
Don't kill my joke.
Sorry. But yeah, guys, let us know in the comments if you're watching this live. Let us know how it looks. It should look halfway decent. But it's nice because now you can watch the podcast anything from 144p all the way up to 1080p.
That's what I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, 144.
Just to keep my bandwidth.
Yeah, that's horrible. 144p, like it's bad. If you're ever wondering how bad
we
it
all
could
look
possibly
like
be,
just one person. It's just one like amoeba.
it's like what's that Hank Hill JPEG video? It's like, what do you mean, JPEG? Oh. Yeah, exactly.
The line is, "Wow, look, I know what a JPEG is." Like it's more and more compressed as he says it.
But as you see, we have a Casual Shenanigans YouTube channel. I'm sorry, we're gonna have to move quick tonight. We have so much going on tonight.
Yeah.
Casual Shenanigans YouTube channel. You should subscribe to it. All the podcasts are going to be uploaded here from now on. I know what you're thinking, but wait, I watch the podcast on your channel, JERMgaming, or on Evil Viking 13's channel. Well, the podcast will still be uploaded there for the next 4 weeks, and then they will only be uploaded on the Casual Shenanigans YouTube channel. So you have 4 weeks to subscribe. Dave and I will both still link those videos in our podcast playlist. So if you go to our channels, you will still see all the new episodes. You'll just be watching it on the Casual Shenanigans YouTube channel. And what that means is if you won't get it in your subscription box unless you're subscribed to the Casual Shenanigans Gaming YouTube channel. So we highly recommend you do that. You can get it in your subscription box. You'll see when we go live, everything like that. And it's better for our branding long term. We've decided if we have our own YouTube channel, because it's been totally fine, Dave and I just hosting it. It started out as just a little thing we were doing, but the podcast has grown. Like we said, it's grown kind of not bigger than our channels, but bigger than we would have expected it to be on our channels, and it probably deserves its own place now, just for people looking for it.
Basically, it's no longer, Jeremiah and Dave from the DayZ Survivor Diaries have a podcast. Now it's like its own thing.
Probably most of the people who listen to the podcast have never seen the DayZ Survivor Diaries at this point.
Apparently, a lot of people still have. We still get a lot of comments of like, "Oh yeah, I've been watching you guys since DayZ." It's impressive how far those videos got for what they were with our terrible mics.
Now, Likey Soldier in chat says, logistically it makes sense, easier to upload, no edit. That's not true. One of the things we pride ourselves on is, or I pride myself on, is I think we have some of the best production values, ignoring the start times. We have some of the better production values of any podcast of our size because we record all our own mic feeds. We have nice mics bought by you kind folks supporting us over on Patreon. And we have good lighting. We have good mics. We edit it all together. And I think our podcast sounds and looks pretty dang good. So I'm very happy about that. And I'm still going to have to do all the editing work to upload it, but that's okay. I do not mind in the slightest.
It's going to be nice just having everything in one place, too, because it'll be easier to kind of keep track of, who is subscribing, who is following the podcast specifically, not just people being dumped off from some other video. Like, if they're subscribing to this, they probably are fans of it, or they specifically want to listen to the podcast.
It also keeps me from having to go see what the comments are on Jeremiah's channel and then see what they are on Dave's channel.
I do that every week. I like to see. It'll be nice. It'll all be in one place. Now, we mentioned it being stronger for our branding long term. And you might notice there's a new Casual Shenanigans Gaming logo on the splash screen right now. And there's a new Casual Shenanigans logo, which I'm going to throw up right now. You'll see that right there. Look, it's beautiful. It was made by Joel. Joel, can you tell us about it?
Yeah, I'm actually waiting for it to come up. It's just the...
You know what it looks like. Okay, you made it.
Well, the way you said it, I was like, wait, is this something a little bit different?
Don't say much of the meaning behind it. That's coming later. But
okay,
Joel made us the logo. Joel's good at logos. Joel made us our new logo.
Well, first and foremost, you can see the controller. Added that. No, we just kind of wanted to tweak a few things. Just polish the logo, polish how we look, as Casual Shenanigans. We've kind of gone back to the start and figure out, from catchphrases to however we put like Twitter handles and stuff like that. Like we just want everything to kind of be very cohesive and, starting from now, it's going to be a brand new, fresh start. It's going to be a brand new day, guys. The sun's going to come up. It's like, glorious Casual Shenanigans.
Anyway, that's the new logo. So
one of the other things about the logo is, we'll talk about some of this later, is it's going to give us a lot more flexibility in how we use our branding. And you'll see a little bit more of that when we get to the different
sections, yeah. So you'll see now that I've gone back to our regular overlay screen, Casual Shenanigans Gaming. We've dropped the AK. That was more of a DayZ and Battlefield thing. We've also dropped our old theme song because that was more of a Battlefield thing. Not like... we still like Battlefield a series. It's not a big thing of what we do right now, so we feel like we want to represent more of what we're actually doing, and we can always move back to other things if we need to. But yeah, the Casual Shenanigans gaming logo, you'll see how it looks, and there'll be other logos that look like that because we are going to be expanding into some other things in the future slowly. Now,
Kickstarter products, yay!
Wouldn't that be great if the whole build-up for tonight was Joel has a new Kickstarter?
Casual Shenanigans, the Kickstarter.
We need to raise $70,000 to build a special trailer to record the podcast in. The entire roof and walls are LEDs. The lighting will be perfect.
But because we don't live close together, we're actually building a monorail system specifically for us.
We could do a jet podcast where we just do it from
monorails cost, Joel, but $70,000 would be like 1 foot of monorail.
Really riding like a little metal pipe.
I don't think that would even build you like a zip line.
Driving by and he says,
it's like a Donkey Kong cart on like a rickety track. Why does it have loops? What do we get?
We'll be doing the Kickstarter for the monorail system later. But for now, yeah. That's what we're doing. So I think we're ready to move on to the next thing, guys. What do you think?
Yep, I'm ready.
I think it's time.
Okay, tonight seems like the best opportunity to launch one of those new branding endeavors. And that is casualshenanigansgaming.com.
Nope.
What? Oh, what?
Well, casualshenanigans.com.
Oh, sorry. Yes, casualshenanigans.com. Sorry, you confused me for a second. You just said nope.
Let's restart that section really fast. casualshenanigans.com.
That's right. casualshenanigans.com, which I am apparently going to have to add in the video description. It will not let me put a link in there. I don't know where the description is for live videos. Oh no. I don't know where to go. There's no description for the video. I don't know what to do. This is not good.
It's very new, guys, so just don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Don't immediately unsubscribe.
Of the website?
Go to the website, and we're going to go through it real quick. I'm sorry, this feels like a little bit of a train wreck right now. Awkward laugh.
I'm going to look into the chat settings while you...
Yeah, go look at the chat settings. I'm sorry, I'm trying to do too many things at the same time. But casualshenanigans.com, we teased it, or Debbie accidentally announced it during a podcast like a month and a half ago. And so I decided after being put on the spot, we should probably finish it. So me and Joel and Dave and James and Debbie and my wife Hope and Debbie's husband John have been beating away at this thing for like the last 2 or 3 weeks. And it is finally live. Casualshenanigans.com. You'll notice our new tagline and our reverent love of gaming, because that's what this podcast is about.
We've got pre-orders going already.
You will notice links to be able to watch the most recent episode of the podcast, and soon you'll be able to watch the podcast live on the website if I'd remembered to update the link before we actually went live. And you'll be able to see all our past episodes. You'll be able to look at the Potato Masher videos. We have an About Us page. We have a Contact Us page. And we're going to be adding in other things like actual blog posts, new types of casual conversations, stuff like that. So this is going to be the hub for everything Casual Shenanigans related. So you can expect to see things like kind of a upcoming event schedule for community events. You'll see some stuff related to Patreon. If one of us wants to write an article about something, if one of us wants to go in depth about features on a game we were testing for the Potato Masher, anything like that, we can do on this website. It helps our SEO to have it. It makes it easier for people to find the podcast. Again, with having the YouTube channel, it kind of pulls everything into one place, which is nice. And it's a little bit sparse right now, you'll notice. It looks good. I'm very happy with how the website looks for doing it on such short notice. And like I can't overemphasize how much everyone contributed to help make it happen on time. But we are going to be expanding it and fleshing it out. So if you see a couple things that look a little broken, a little artwork looks a little tweaked, something like that, we're still working on that. We're still working through a few of the kinks, which is normal when you're launching a website. But overall, the website is launched. We're pretty happy with it, and we're excited about the good things that will be coming from it in the future.
Now, Jeremiah,
do you guys want to talk about stuff for the website?
I just want people to understand the level of dedication that you put forth. Not all of us. I mean, we've been here and there, but Jeremiah, what's one of your favorite games right now? Who do you love?
Why are you doing this to me?
Jeremiah, who do you love?
I love Geralt.
do you like The Witcher 3, Jeremiah?
I do like The Witcher 3.
Now, because of this website, when was the last time that you spent time with Geralt of Rivia?
You mean Gerald?
Geraldo.
What weekend?
Rivera.
What weekend did you guys come visit me?
That was over 3 weeks ago.
It was the day after you guys left. The day you guys left that evening. That's the last time I played The Witcher 3.
He didn't want to let you guys know, but he was actually pissed the whole time because he had a lot of work to do on the website while you guys were there.
No, and then all I've played is like an hour of Halo and like an hour and a half of Forza Horizon 2. But no, you guys have all worked a ton. This has been a group effort, for sure. And it was kind of like, maybe it was a little bit of a stupid idea trying to plan for this and episode 101 1 week after the other at the same time. But Joel,
well, because 100 was so involved. I mean, that took a lot of logistical planning. So.
Yeah. I mean, there was a road trip involved. Real life things were happening.
Joel did a ton of planning for episode 100. Joel, you're awesome. Because that definitely took a lot of the pressure off to get 100 done. But 100's done, 101's done. Honestly, after tonight, I'm going to be sleeping and playing video games like you can't even believe. Except I'm coming into town to visit you guys tomorrow, so... Dang it. But the website's up. Look, okay, we're just going to leave it at that. The website's up. I'll deal with the rest of that crap later. And we're really happy about it. And you might be thinking, wow, that's actually some pretty decent stuff you guys have announced. That's actually not even the main announcement. That's just like little stuff. That's like little pebbles on announcement mountain.
That's just housekeeping.
Exactly.
This is a brand new car.
Still no.
Shot up.
Everyone gets a month of PlayStation Plus.
All listeners, look under your seats right now for the door prize. We're that good.
Joel, stop drinking your fancy waters. You'll die.
And we're down to 3 podcast members. Bye, Joel.
No, I have to say that. I'm going to tell what you idiots did earlier today. Okay, so we're in the middle of planning. I've been kind of running this project like for the past couple weeks. So I'm giving out assignments and keeping track of stuff. Like everyone here is pretty responsible, so it's not like I'm the boss or anything. But it's helpful when one person's the point person and keeps everything organized for a project. So I've been kind of keeping tabs and all that. And we're going back and forth. And today, for whatever reason, everyone was just having a bad day at work. I was stressed out. Joel was having a crappy day. James always has a crappy day at work. Dave was just having crappy coworkers, which is pretty normal. I don't know what Dave was actually doing at work today, but he sure wasn't enjoying the people he was doing it with.
It was just a headache day.
Yeah. And so anyway, everyone's on edge a little bit. We're just trying to bust through all this and get it done. And James keeps asking Joel to help look at the bios. And the thing with Joel is, like, you gotta hold his hand, point there, Joel. Look there, Joel. Read this, because Joel will rabbit trail, he'll tangent, he'll send you pictures of what he's eating. Like, Joel is a free spirit butterfly floating along in the meadow. And if you want the butterfly to land on something, you've got to be very directional about it. So James is trying to get Joel's spirit butterfly to land. And then I get up. It
wasn't that serious of a thing.
It was not. So, Joel was just talking about other stuff. It's a group chat. There's 5 of us in it. So
you guys have been chatting for like a long time, and I just finally got into the chat, and I just happened to text something that I was eating earlier. So
Anyway, so I saw that James was a little miffed at Joel because he hadn't been around like all morning to look at stuff in chat. I got up, went and did the dishes. I came back and sat down, and there's like 2 minutes of scrolling of Joel and James's heated argument where they're like saying some really mean personal stuff about each other.
It was personal.
It was very personal.
Can I read some snippets, Jeremiah? I have it ready right here, actually.
That's up to these guys.
Go ahead. I don't care.
I'll choose carefully.
Okay.
Yeah, all right, from Joel. Oh no, I don't play the kids card, James. That's why I hold up the podcast each week. James, I'm sorry I have a family and just can't sit on my ass and play games before the podcast starts. Joel, right, because working on Norman and spending money out the wazoo is playing games before the podcast. I'm sorry, I love what I do.
So that went on. That was the nicer part of it. It got worse and worse and worse until Joel basically told James to piss off, and James said he would. And then I sat back down and was like, what on earth is going on? And there's like 2 minutes of silence, and Joel goes, happy episode 101, Jeremiah.
Well, James is like, you know what, Joel, you just need to smile more. He's like, I've got a plan. I was like, what? I was like, let's just totally go off on each other on Skype and just see what happens. And I told James, I was like, I bet the amount of sweat that's rolling off of Jeremiah right now, like it got silent. Dave and Debbie were just non-existent.
Like it was dead. It was dead. It was just us back and forth.
It was
like,
very awkward.
10 minutes.
What's great is for like the first probably 5 or 10 minutes of you guys going back and forth. All it's like these guys ribbing each other, but then it kept getting more and more personal. I was like, I'm like 50% sure that they're still joking around, but I'm like, they're either trolling or like this started out as a joke, but it got too personal. I'm like, I can't quite read this anymore.
What was funny is Joel and I are chatting on the side, and I'm like, hey, do you mind if I say this? I'm gonna say, is this too personal?
I'll go for the throat.
I'm like, James, I need a rebuttal for you, so he wrote mine.
Are you serious, Joel?
Yeah, I wrote his half most of the time.
Joel can't write his own scripts or his own jokes.
Oh, whoa, not again, fellas. Back it down.
I'll remember you when the checks are rolling in.
Wait, what checks?
What does that mean? I'll be rolling over your house.
I'll be riding the monorail to your house.
The $70,000 monorail.
Oh, man.
Anyway.
So that's how much
it was a good mood lightener for both of us, at least.
Yes, I'm glad your mood was really lightened. Yes, that nice red mist I got over my eyes is like, you know, my ears started pulsating.
Wait, now you read a bunch of stuff, Dave. Why don't you read one more line?
Oh, what? The one below that? The one about the health issues? Do we read those?
No. The one that Jeremiah popped in.
Oh, read Jeremiah's line?
Yeah.
So, after Joel basically kicks James off the podcast after their fight, and Joel just types in all caps. No, James types in all caps. Happy 101, Dave and Jeremiah, and then like rage quits. And then Joel just quotes it. Jeremiah replies about a minute later. I was away for 10 minutes. Holy crap, when did I come back to you? If you guys need to call each other and talk it out, do it. This is ridiculous. Everyone's stressed, everyone's tired, and neither's an excuse to act like assholes. And then Jeremiah, Joel, and James just lose it. Oh, man.
I was honestly a little bit worried for a minute. I was like, what is happening? Like,
keep in mind, this is all like 6 hours before the podcast is supposed to go live. Like, all this stuff's supposed to go live.
I told James, I was like, Jeremiah's probably going, oh, tonight's effed.
No, I was going, all right, it's the Dave and Jeremiah show. The ship moves on.
No life for half.
Take down the profiles.
I'll do it. I don't even care. Oh my. So anyway,
moving on.
The website, you know, that's a big deal. The new logo, that's really awesome. Streaming on YouTube, that's also pretty awesome. We're really excited about it. That's not the big thing. Those are just accessories to the big thing. Here's the big thing. I know you're supposed to bury the lead where you tease the thing you're going to talk about for like the entire show and then talk about it right at the end. I don't really like doing that, so we're just going to talk about it now because we've got like 1,000 details to talk about it after
that's annoying.
That's kind of like the Nintendo.
It's annoying.
Philosophy.
It's effective. No, that's burying the games.
They bury the lead so far they never get to it.
They bury that release date 3 or 4 years in the future. But here's the big change. When Casual Shenanigans Gaming started, it was a podcast all about DayZ and Battlefield. And then we quickly realized that was a very shallow well filled with muddy water. So we dug a little deeper.
That EA is actively poisoning.
We dug a little deeper to a podcast all about everything PC gaming related. We think it's time to do it again. Casual Shenanigans Gaming is no longer a podcast all about everything PC gaming related. We're a podcast about PC gaming and console gaming. Joel, you can make your little squealing noises. And anything technology relating to the gaming industry that we want to talk about. And we know this is going to be a big change for some of our listeners. Some people I know listen to us because they're really excited that we are a PC gaming focused podcast. So right up front, just so we're very clear, the PC gaming stuff is not going anywhere. We are still going to cover just as much about PC gaming as we always did.
As long as Jeremiah and I breathe, we shall carry on.
We are all PC gamers, more or less. We're all PC gamers, but we're all console gamers too. We all own consoles. Most of us own multiple consoles.
Some of us own multiple consoles.
Right now, Jeremiah, you have... No, I thought you had more than me. If you had your 360, you would have had more consoles than me.
Yeah, I just got rid of my 360. But most of us have owned like all the major consoles. So it's a little bit disingenuous to just talk about PC gaming and ignore the other things we want to talk about. So I would venture to say this is still primarily a PC gaming focused podcast because there aren't that many updates in the world of console gaming. Like once the console's out, you're really just talking about games at that point. Mm-hmm. But what this means is we're going to be covering the exclusive games on each platform. We're going to be covering the things that we're actually interested in. So we're not turning this into like a console shilling podcast or anything. When Joel talks about console news, it's because it's what he's honestly interested in and honestly enjoying playing right now.
And it's what I'm playing too.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't talk about everything Final Fantasy related that's on PS3 or PS4 because it's just a console game because I don't give a crap. But I do care about the stuff like Uncharted and games I'm actually playing, and all of us actually play those games too, or or at least some of us we dabble it here or there and we play the game. So it's I think it just kind of makes sense to be able to not be kicked and frowned upon as much. I'm just kidding. But
well, that's not going to change.
But yeah, we're going to talk about console news along with PC news because that's the most honest way we can do the podcast. This show is about the things that we think are interesting in the gaming industry, the things we think are important, the things we think are relevant. We've never promised that this podcast is like your ultimate source of news or your ultimate source of information or opinions or anything else. This is four dudes talking about the games they're playing and enjoying, the things that matter to them in the gaming industry and gaming as a culture, gaming as a pastime. And the best way we can do that is to talk about everything we're doing and not pigeonhole ourselves into just talking about PC gaming because that's how the podcast started. So anyone worried that we're not going to be talking about PC gaming stuff as much anymore, you have absolutely nothing to worry about. Anybody who's been wondering why we haven't at least touched some more console stuff in the past, you have absolutely nothing to worry about. We will still make fun of consoles, but we'll also make fun of PCs. We'll make fun of basically anything.
We've got plenty of that coming tonight.
What?
So we got plenty of that coming tonight.
Oh, in the news section.
Yeah.
James, can you start making some notes about the different news things we could be talking about? I didn't do that just because we had so much else to talk about.
I don't know if we'd even have time other than that one.
Yeah, I didn't add anything because honestly, I don't know if we can get through all of us and still have time for news.
We'll see.
But
There's a couple things.
Time for one news.
There's a couple things we have to talk about.
Dave rises again.
Dave, can you spam Twitch chat a few more times? Bizatric said he was waiting on Twitch for us to start streaming.
I've been posting the links every about 5 minutes or so.
Into both of our Twitch chats.
Hey, why don't you, Dave? Can you throw something up on Jeremiah's channel just that says where we're at tonight?
I've been in the chat the whole time.
No, but yeah. Anyway.
I don't think we can. If we miss anybody, we'll come back to you. We're sorry if you missed this live this week. We know it's a bit of a transition, but that's the big news about the podcast. But that means the format of the podcast is changing. It's more of an evolution than a huge change. But here's some of the things we're going to be doing differently from now on. Each host will now bring one piece of news they want to talk about. And then we'll have general news. So usually I compile the news list and then other people add in a couple items that they find interesting. But now each host is going to purposefully bring at least one topic, at least one news item they think is newsworthy, important, worth discussing, whatever, to better reflect everyone on here. Because I am the host, but that doesn't mean I'm the only one with good opinions. Like, James is a super analytical guy. Joel always has a unique opinion on things. And Dave mostly wants to talk about mods and Arma. But together,
I'm the forever optimist.
Together, we make a we make a pretty good team, and we want to make sure we're representing everyone. Basically, James came to me about a month ago and said, "Look, either you're giving me a raise, or we're going to do some things differently." And he threatened me, and here we are.
Thanks, James.
He actually doubled my pay, though.
Wait,
it's still
what?
0.
Take the nothing, add nothing, carry the nothing. Yeah.
I feel like tonight James is actually more casual than usual because he's always wearing a suit and like a tie.
He's not.
He always needs to be wearing a suit
no,
on our podcast.
Suit. He's like never worn a suit on the podcast.
Because he always gets right home from work and like on the
he's
podcast.
not wearing
I usually wear a button down.
Yeah, button down is a lot different from a suit,
Sorry,
Joel.
my bad, not a suit, just whatever.
You guys,
A button down
need to remember
shirt, that's pretty casual.
Yeah, you guys
Never
gotta remember
change.
here.
Joel, never change.
Don't forget that Joel's been working from home a lot recently, so at this point, just wearing pants is considered like business casual, or not.
I'm not wearing pants right now.
Oh, good, we all match then.
Boxers or briefs?
Next change. All the current sections we have, everything we do, Dave's Comment of the Week, 90 Seconds with Joel, Mail Time, the Singularity Shame segment, all of that will still be in the show, except for the Potato Patch, because the console news is just folded into the regular news now. So
it's all Potato Patch news.
So that's what we're going to be doing with that. And we're doing this because our goal is to get the podcast down to 1 hour. We want to better respect your time for being here. I want to respect these guys' time for coming out live. And we want the show to be as tight and as good as possible. And we think 1 hour is where we need to be. And we think we can do that without sacrificing any quality. We just need to better manage our time and schedule things a little bit better. So that's our goal. We're going to be shooting... Yeah, go ahead, James.
And what we also talked about is, for the actual released podcast, getting it to an hour. Yeah. And for, our live audience, maybe doing some, little chit-chatting before we get into actual topics and stuff.
Yeah.
But that way, give you guys a reason to come out and interact with us and, make it a little more fun.
Our plan is we'll be hanging out on the YouTube live stream before the podcast actually goes live. In the podcast, we normally start around 8:10 just because of like technical issues and stuff. There's a lot of technical issues with Twitch. Tonight's issues, I think, were an outlier. I don't think that's going to be a problem every time. I've never had my NVIDIA drivers crash right at the beginning of something. But we're going to be hanging out, talking to you guys, just kind of getting warmed up and stuff before the podcast goes live. And so if you're listening to this after the fact, you're not going to hear as much of that. But you will still hear everything on the show like we normally do it. And then if you want to come out and hang out with us and just shoot the breeze and whatever, then you can come out a little early to youtube.com/casualshenanigans, and you'll be able to see us. We'll hang out with you guys, and we will go live a little bit later. And then hopefully the recorded podcast that goes up will be right at 1 hour. And one of the big changes we are making leads into another announcement. We are only going to be answering one tech question each podcast. We get lots of regular mail, but we get lots of mail for help with people's tech support issues.
A surprising amount, actually. I was always very surprised at how many people would write to us for their tech issues. and we watch us argue over it on the air.
We really like doing it. I absolutely love building computers. Dave loves building computers. Joel and James, not as much. Yeah, but we love talking about it. But those sections can drag on a little bit depending on how many people write in. Our goal is never to have 25 minutes in the middle of the podcast where we talk about someone's graphics card upgrades. But that's just kind of how things have worked out because we got so many people writing in. And we want to still do that, but we want to respect everyone who's listening to us who may not be that interested in it. So what we're going to be doing from now on is we're going to be answering one tech question during the podcast, and we're going to be introducing a new podcast for the rest of it. Casual Shenanigans Tech is going to be me and Dave we're mercifully letting Joel and James go. They do not have to participate. And this is going to be probably a bi-weekly podcast right now, just based on the amount of emails we get. But we are going to go more in depth on the emails people send in. So instead of just trying to fly through everything in like 5 minutes per question, we'll spend as much time as it takes to answer questions correctly. Dave, can you possibly talk about that for a minute? Because I need to drink some water.
Yes,
sorry, my mouth is getting kind of cottony.
I'll take over for a minute, announcer Jeremiah. The idea behind the tech spinoff is, once again, Casual Shenanigans, like the podcast itself, had grown to be a lot of different things, and it's just a lot to just fit into a single hour. I mean, for all of us, this is basically Thursday is all the podcast stuff. So by splitting it, it's more organized. It's better for taking care of our time and your time as well, and we can get into more detail and all that fun stuff too.
Yeah, and it will go out in the regular audio feed. So if you subscribe to the show, this will be like an optional second podcast you'll get. You don't have to download it. You don't need to listen to it. But if you're interested in it, you will learn more about computer building and parts and everything else, because we will be going much more in depth and taking much more time as necessary to talk about people's issues. And we'll still be answering one person's question on the podcast itself. And then there'll be a separate playlist on our YouTube channel and a separate section on the website, so you can go look up all the Casual Shenanigans Tech episodes. So this is going to be probably bi-weekly. It could be a little bit more often. It could be a little bit less often, depending on how many we get. But when we get them, we are going to email that podcast out to all the people who emailed us in for that episode. So you guys will be getting it as soon as it's available. You'll be getting it immediately. And then it'll be going out, into the feed, like I said. And now, Casual Conversations have been something we've been doing for a while. That's our free-form, not really podcast, but just sort of like discussion thing. It's anything from like Mark and I talking about TV shows we're watching to us talking about the E3 press conferences. Like, it's a very, it's varied. It doesn't really have any set structure. It's very, very casual. And now it's going to be called Casual Shenanigans Conversations. Wow, what a surprise. That's such a crazy out there name. How did they come up with it? But this will be even expanding into like science, current news, TV, whatever. And this is as often as we want to do it, or as rarely as we want to do it. James and I have been kicking around some ideas for stuff we might want to talk about for a while. I'm probably going to keep talking about TV with Mark. If Joel wants to have the Norman update once a month, that's fine with me. I don't care.
Knowing Joel's going to be a Kickstarter announcement once a month.
It could be Joel just reading his credit card statement for like 30 minutes with all the games he's bought in the last month. It'll take that long.
Does the internet have enough time for that?
I buy less games. I just buy them at full price. That makes up for the 15 games that you guys bought.
Joe, you don't understand what cross-platform means. That doesn't mean you buy it on a different platform. It means you buy it on one that works on multiple.
I guarantee you buy more games than I do. I 100% guarantee you buy more games than me.
I actually buy more games than Joel. I just spend less than him.
That's definitely true.
But I play my games, though. I play the games I buy.
I was busy working on the website.
There it is. Let it all out, Jeremiah. Just let it out.
Anyway.
Also, we can use that as a chance to get to know allow you guys to get to know us a little bit more in depth and stuff too.
Yeah, we're putting on. Gosh, I'm trying to come up with a way that doesn't sound really stupid to say this. We're gonna open up a little more real talk on the Casual Shenanigans Conversations. A little more whatever you want to say.
And this won't be live though. This will not
be live. We're not going to live stream this. We're not going. This is just going to go out in the feed. It'll go out on a YouTube channel. And like I said, this is going to be totally varied. So there'll be some people who will probably want to look at every single episode, and there will be some people who maybe look at one every couple months that the title looks like it interests them. So I'll try to make the titles descriptive.
People that listen to the conversations, people that skip over the Casual Shenanigans Tech, then they listen to the main podcast.
That'll probably be a lot of people. But yeah, that's what we want to do, because it's mostly about giving you guys the content you want in the most easy to get it place. Instead of listening to a 2-hour-long podcast, which some people do like, we're going to give you more content broken into several different chunks, all coming from the same source. So if you don't want some of that content, you don't have to get it. And if you want it all, you're getting even more. Do I know how to spin this or what?
Nice.
Bro fist. Oh,
Where's the season pass option? I want all of it.
No. we're introducing the new. Well, look, if we showed you everything we had in mind, you'd be throwing your money at the screen. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. Ooh, big words.
No, did you see that Bungie interview?
No.
That's a word-for-word quote with what the Bungie dev said right before the internet decided to crucify them.
Oh, yeah.
He said, if we showed you everything we were building right now for Destiny, you'd throw your money at the screen.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's how the starting of every Norman post goes out. Hey guys, a little update. If you knew what we were doing behind the scenes,
I'm only giving you a clip.
6 more Kickstarters. Yeah.
So you guys have, before we move on, does anyone have anything you want to talk about? Like, I'm doing a lot of talking tonight because we're doing a lot of announcements, but if you guys have stuff you want to bring up, please talk.
I was just going to talk about I can maybe say something about the PC tech stuff.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think, we're not trying to we're definitely not trying to get rid of PC stuff. That's not going to happen. It's more of just going, what are the areas during our podcast that kind of can go a little bit long? Even our crazy rants that have nothing to do with anything generally don't even go as long as the PC tech part of the podcast. Generally. I mean, sometimes it'll be really short, but sometimes we can get into it because Dave and Jeremiah do love talking about that. I think I gave them the idea of something do your own tech podcast, do something. That was my idea.
It was. This all got started. Steven, Singularity 80, had mentioned to me a month or two ago. He said, "Hey, when episode 100 comes around, it'd be a good time for you guys to talk about, see how things are going, see if you want to make any improvements or changes or stuff like that." And he didn't mean that in you guys should probably change some stuff way. He meant that in a, hey, this is a good milestone. And then at the same time, Joel and James were talking, and they popped on Teamspeak one night and were like, hey, let's talk about some ways we can make the podcast better and evolve it along. And actually, it was a very smooth conversation. Dave hopped in soon after. Everything they were talking about, we were all on the same side pretty much. Yeah. We just had to discuss details. This is a very, very smooth transition.
I think it was just more the fact that we put so much time into the podcast, and there's always so much more to prepare for just the next one. We hadn't stepped back and said, how can we just streamline things a bit? We just hadn't had that conversation yet. Yeah. And we were all kind of thinking it, I think, all of us.
And when it's not like you guys could even get through all the tech questions anyways, because we would usually have 2 or 3 extra anyways on some of the podcasts. Yeah. You get through 1 or 2, and that would kind of take up the amount of time that it was we can't go 2 or 3 more. That'll be another 15, 20 minutes.
Right.
Anyway,
it wasn't even just that. It was also giving you guys an opportunity to do something that, honestly, you guys
we're very
really enjoy that.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that's how James and I, we spun it so that we could get crap off.
James is good at the wording, too. I know what's happening. I'll accept it.
Guys, you guys are getting a bonus. We're giving you guys something.
But no, we were all in agreement and made it a very, very smooth transition. Because when we first started the podcast, it was a very small thing. We could do whatever we want, and no one really cared, and it was fine. But you guys are a pretty easygoing group. I love our listeners because everyone's pretty cool about everything. We don't get hate mail or anything. I'd probably knock on wood.
It goes to spam, so we wouldn't even check.
Yeah, that's probably true. But we want to make things better in the future, so it's kind of our responsibility to polish and update the podcast as it goes along. So this is all the stuff we're talking about. It's only to make the podcast better and to give you guys more of the stuff we think you want. And that leads us to Patreon. Patreon is awesome. As soon as it was announced, you guys may or may not know this if you don't have monetized YouTube channels, but you make piddly amounts of money on YouTube.
Yeah.
Honestly, it took me 2.5 years to make a dime off YouTube, and I'm still my per hourly YouTube rate.
Don't think about it. Don't calculate that out, Jeremiah.
It's about $1. It's about $1. Which isn't great.
Why you do the numbers?
But yeah, so Patreon is awesome because it lets people like you support podcasts you like this one, and we greatly appreciate it. And we started the Patreon with some milestone goals and some different funding levels and stuff, and we need to change and update those because it's, the goals have changed. Things have changed as we've gone along. Things like that $250 goal of hosting a DayZ server. Big surprise, that's no longer a goal. Now, if the DayZ hosting servers thing works out. We may revisit this in the future, but there's no point in hosting a DayZ server right now. There really isn't. The game is not in a position where it's fun to play multiplayer.
And if the Potato Masher can host it, then
we'll see. It can host Arma fine, so the possibility's there. But we're not going to be hosting a DayZ server anytime soon. We're removing that milestone goal. So we'll start with the milestone goals first. The $100 goal was buying better lights and everything, and we handily reached it, and we've been a little bit above $100 for a while. We need to update that one, and all these Patreon changes will go live right after this podcast. That's actually now moved up to the website hosting costs. When we first started Patreon, our only hosting costs were Libsyn, which was $15 a month. That's where the audio is hosted, sends it out to iTunes, everywhere else. Well, we had to bump that up to $20 a month because we were using so much bandwidth. And then we are now hosting a Teamspeak channel, which we think is an awesome investment, and you guys in the community pay for it. You guys should come out and play on it. People use it all the time for stuff. That's
We've met a lot of really good friends through playing on Teamspeak.
Honestly,
it's so fun.
Most of the people we play with on a regular basis are listeners who popped into the Teamspeak one day and started talking to us, and now
they never left, and we're all just a family.
Yeah, we're now friends now.
And now none of you could ever leave.
We're legitimately friends.
Come play with us forever and ever
because of stuff like this podcast and this Teamspeak channel. So please come check it out. The description for the Teamspeak channel is always in the link in the descriptions for this podcast. You can go check it out. But it pays for that. It pays for Libsyn. What else are we paying for now? Oh, we're paying for the GameFly membership that rents games for the Potato Masher. To rent, it actually rents the PlayStation games, the PC games you have to buy.
Can part of that money go to me since I get some of those games before you get them on GameFly?
No, because you'd be buying them anyway. But yeah, I like what Shane said in chat. We're prisoners. Don't come in. Run.
Everyone's friendly in TeamSpeak.
And actually, because of things like this, we are going to be meeting the Ultra Grunt in person.
It's going to be awesome.
Just over under a month's time. He is coming to America.
Freedom. He's gonna come to America. And we're gonna just immediately hand him like a whole table full of guns and just see what happens.
But yeah, that's our $100 goal now. It takes a little bit less than $100 to cover the website hosting. Oh yeah, website hosting. That's another like $8 a month. So between the website, the audio, GameFly, and the Teamspeak channel, we're a little bit under $100. But some of the rest of that could possibly go towards electricity on my end for all the stuff we're running.
And we still do equipment. We still
we still have equipment upgrades and stuff that we do. So that just over covers all of our expenses now. And again, we're not trying to like make a ton of money off the podcast. We're just being open with you guys because you support us. You deserve to know how we're spending the money. That's what we're doing. So Patreon for about $100 is covering all of our hosting costs, all the costs of making the podcast. Our $250 goal, instead of hosting a DayZ server, is going to be turning Casual Shenanigans Tech into a live call-in show for tech support, which is a big, brave thing for Dave and I to do. But you'll be able to call in, and we'll take your questions live on the air and help you troubleshoot crap on your computer. I can tell by Joel's face he thinks this is like the most boring-sounding thing he could possibly imagine.
I am curious, Jeremiah. Are you basically signing us up for free help desk service?
No, because this will not be like, hey guys, I can't get my Photoshop icons to pop up.
Like you slap them in the face and they leave.
I'll give you an example.
My printer won't print. Can you troubleshoot that for me?
You'll have to submit, if you want us to call you, you'll have to submit that ahead of time. I'll give you an example. Last night, I was on TeamSpeak, just hanging out, working on this, trying to pretend like, I was being all relaxed in TeamSpeak while I was slaving away, really hoping that we were going to make our deadline. And a guy hopped into the TeamSpeak channel, Mike, and he said, hey, I just watched your Potato Masher video. That's really cool. Like he said, I've never heard of that idea before. A friend of mine wanted to get back into PC gaming, and I was putting together a build for him. Is there any chance you could take a look at it and make some suggestions? And he sent me a PC.
It's a build for a friend.
Exactly. And he sent me a PC part picker link. I spent about 30 minutes, went over it with him. He was a decent build, but we recommended some new parts, explained to him why it'd be better to choose some different stuff, pulled a few things out, got instant feedback back and forth. And then he had a really solid build for about $100 less with better performance than he came in with.
Nice.
And we want to do that type of stuff. So no, we are not help desk, I don't hate myself that much. But we will talk over your computer ideas, issues, everything else with you live. That's our $250 milestone goal. So that's the only milestone goal update. The ones that currently exist are, I believe the $500 one is we will all drive to the same location once a month, and at least once a month, and we will do a live podcast together, because people always really enjoy those because they're...
Is moonshine involved?
Always.
It could be.
Joel's going to get really warm this year.
People really enjoy those because they're so just out there, and we want to do that on a pretty regular basis. And then our $1,000 tier is still us going to PAX, and not just like pay for us to attend PAX. We'd really like some tickets. It's us like take our recorders, take our cameras, talk to indie developers, bring you guys like our coverage of the PAX floor, because you can see coverage from like those big name people, like with their budgets and their schedules and their
real jobs
and their better guests coming in and everything. How would you like to see a bunch of amateur nobodies running around desperately pulling interesting stuff out of thin air? Based on the one road trip we've done, I can promise you, you will not be bored. But that's our $1,000 a month goal. And actually, all the stuff we're about to announce for Patreon backer updates, like the individual tiers you guys can sign up for, that's all to support PAX-related stuff. Our goal is to eventually have a live podcast at PAX East. Like, officially have one of the rooms rented, officially be on the schedule. Even if 10 people show up, I don't know what the standards are. My goal would be more than 10 people.
We're going to have the bathroom.
We're going to be in the hall.
One stall.
Yeah. Welcome to the stall fest.
You can hear a lot of...
Be a lot of noise cancellation on that edit. Console news it is.
But we want to have a live show. That's like if I was going to come up with a dream for how cool would it be if one day we could do X would be live show at PAX East. To do that, we need to make a little more money. So, like I was very clear before about the changing scope of the podcast, I want to be very clear now. No one who listens to this podcast is under any compulsion to give us a dime. This podcast is free. The podcast will always be free. We love making it. You do not need to give us any money, even if we have to pay out of our own pockets to do it. Well, I guess I kind of volunteered that. Even if I have to pay out of my own pocket to do it, this show is going to keep going.
There will be a Kickstarter, though.
No,
yeah.
But for people
Multiple
who want to support the show, we're announcing gold battle packs for casual shenanigans. You'll get your very own avatar. You'll also get a personalized tweet written by... Okay, I'm sorry.
No, Jeremiah, you don't unlock avatars. You unlock shapes to help make your avatar. Today's battle pack comes with a circle, the triangle, and the half moon to make your avatars with.
Oh my gosh!
You get a new color pack.
Didn't that actually? That was unlocked in the game.
You would unlock new shapes for the emblem editor. Like I got tons of those in Battlefield 4.
That they did that kind of in Destiny too, with the whole like having to collect colors and stuff.
Yeah, there were colors.
Like,
yeah.
Anyway, now for the real.
Now for the real stuff. So the current tiers, there's just two of them: $1 and $5. $1 is we say thank you. That one's staying the same, and that does buy you a weird shout out by Joel. You know, having a weird voice and stuff. You can request any voice you want, and Joel will do the southern racist, Irish Count
Italian
Dracula priest version of it. But that's our $1 goal, our $1 amount. And then for $5 a month, we have been giving you early access to the casual conversations recorded throughout the month. That's still going to be true. Now, I said the podcast will always be free. The podcast will always come out, hopefully the day or a couple days after we air it live, depending on what my schedule's like and when I can edit it. The tech show and the Casual Shenanigans Conversations are going to be delayed by 1 week, going out to the public feed for anyone who is not a $5 or up Patreon sponsor. And we know that's a little bit of a stretch, but we hope everyone will understand the spirit in which we're doing this. All that stuff is not super time dependent. and you will still get it 1 week later, absolutely
I don't know.
for free.
Graphics tech stuff. I mean, 1 week, 4 new graphics cards are out. Your computer's already obsolete. No! If I only listened to the podcast 1 week early.
So you will get those things. Basically, it's a week early. Everyone else will get them a week late, but you won't know when we film that. You won't know when we record it, so you'll get it then. Except if you write in to have your tech question answered, we will email you a link to it as soon as it goes live, just so you can listen to it immediately. But that's for $5 a month. Also for $5 a month, we're gonna have a section on the website we're gonna add where we thank all of our Patreon backers, and your name will be in there as just a thank you for you supporting us. Now for $10 a month, you get all that. Plus, we will link the name on the website to your website, your YouTube, your blog, your podcast,
Your LinkedIn page.
your LinkedIn page. It's up to our discretion how many of those things we link to, and it's up to our discretion to refuse any of them if they're inappropriate. But we will, as a thank you, we will help promote your stuff. For $25. Oh, no, sorry, for $10, you'll also be able to suggest a casual conversation for us to do sometime in the near future, and we will do a bang-up job of it. For $25 a month, you'll be an official sponsor of one episode, where you'll get a 60-second spot where we will talk about your stuff however we want. You don't get to set the rules. You have to let us get familiar with what your thing is ahead of time.
And actually, on a side note, Jeremiah, I always love when podcasts do that for like official spots. When they don't make it like they're reading a script, it's like, hey, give us your stuff, and we're going to take our personality in our podcast and do your spot just like we would our stuff. I love that on podcasts. It's fantastic.
Me too. So we'll talk about your stuff, and then Joel will sing a song about your wonder and splendor. I'm not even kidding. That will happen. It won't be a super long song. Joel, could you possibly do a little demo? Do you have? I'm kind of putting you on the spot.
I will sing of Ultra Gun. He is so lovely when he powers that car and pulls the shifter, and we fly off the rocks together. And the bees will save us. The bees will save us and bring us to the heavens of cloud above. Something like that.
That's worth money right there.
That was 100% off the top of your head.
This is going to get even weirder later in the podcast.
Anyway.
You paid for this.
You can get that, and then for $50 a month, you can join the podcast for an episode. We'll have you on as a guest host. Also, that's up to our discretion. Like, if if we decide for some reason you're like a threat to the live listeners or something, we will give you your money back and say no thank you. I don't think that's going to be an issue. I just feel like we need the disclaimer. But you'll join the podcast for an episode, and we'll have you on as a guest host, and we'll talk about. You'll have to bring your own topic, like all the other hosts do, and we'll talk about stuff that you're interested in as a thank you. Again, you're under no compulsion to give us any money. This is entirely if you want to support the podcast in furthering our goals and stuff. But you absolutely don't need to. We really do not expect that of anybody. We're touched anytime anyone donates money, and we want to use your money as wisely as possible. So we're putting it out there. You absolutely don't have to do it. You're welcome to do it. It's totally up to you. And thank you to everyone who supports us up till now. Do you guys have anything else you want to add on that?
Nope.
No,
Okay.
you got it.
So,
If you want to be berated for giving us money, make sure to donate.
Well, yeah, I mean, about our PAX thing, I mean, I think that would be really, really fun, and be fun to interact with people that listen to the podcast. But to get there, not only we were going to have to, try to raise money, but we need everyone to spread the word. I mean, that's the biggest way. I mean, we're not like paying for advertising anywhere or things like that. So really, the only way people know about this podcast is if you guys tell people, or somebody randomly stumbles upon the Great Righteousness.com. Oh, what's this? Let me watch this. Then CSG, but like, share, just spread the word. So I mean, if you guys think that would be something really fun to happen, the more people listening, the more possible chance we might be able to do it. So.
cool.
Because we don't advertise. This is all word of mouth and organic growth, and just you guys like having fun with the podcast and growing the community with us. So let's keep doing that. More of that for sure.
Absolutely. Now I want to recap. All right. Here are all the big changes we've talked about tonight.
Can Joel sing the recap?
We have a YouTube channel. You should subscribe to it. All the new podcasts will be going out to the YouTube channel. They'll be on me and Dave's channels for the next 4 weeks, and there'll be links in those videos on our channels to send everyone to the new, into the YouTube channel. Subscribe, That's how you'll be able to watch the podcast in the future. You'll also be able to watch it live on our new website, which features our new logo and our new branding. We are just Casual Shenanigans now. The podcast is called Casual Shenanigans Gaming. We have a new podcast, Casual Shenanigans Tech, where we help you with your tech support issues and go more in depth on PC hardware and cool stuff we want to talk about. And then Casual Shenanigans Conversations, which will be a more in-depth, more random, more varied look into things we are interested in and into our lives. The podcast will now be shorter. It'll come in at 1 hour. We will talk about console news. Each host will bring particular news items they want to talk about, and it'll be more fleshed out and a better rounded podcast. And our goal, it really is a tight 1 hour. And then we have a bunch of Patreon updates coming out because we want to give more opportunities to thank the people who are supporting us, and more opportunities to promote your content. And we want to raise money because we want to go to some gaming shows like PAX East, because our goal one day is to have a live show at PAX East. And that's all the big stuff we've been talking about for the last couple weeks. What do you guys think? I feel like that was a decent number of announcements.
Yeah, it was more than the PC E3 keynote.
That's not true.
Joel, how long have you been sitting on that one? Like, you look in your eyes.
Just a second.
I noticed the smile like growing bigger and bigger as you said it.
I can't wait to fire this gem off.
Now, Shane asked a good question in chat. Here's a question. Will you guys make anything for the channel besides the podcast-related stuff?
Yes.
On our channel, you'll see now there's links to the Potato Masher videos. There's links to all the Arma missions, our Last DayZ series, and any of the random games we've all played together. So those will still be uploaded to me and Dave's channels, but they'll be linked on this channel. So you'll be able to keep up to date with all the games we're playing and all the community events and everything on that channel, on the YouTube channel. And our plan is to expand into doing more content for it. I would love to have regular blog posts, whether it's game reviews or news updates, things like that. I would love to have videos on other things on the channel. Scalability will be the big issue, probably. This is the part where like I have to tread very carefully so it doesn't sound like I'm complaining, because I'm absolutely not. I love this podcast to death, and I love working on it. We all have full-time jobs. Some of us have like kind of jobs outside of our jobs. Joel's doing a movie right now, which, believe it or not, is pretty time consuming. I'm a small business owner, which means I don't really have business hours. I just have that never-ending, soul-crushing grind of work.
You love that. You love that.
I love it. Oh.
That's soul-crushing. Oh, that's soul-crushing.
That's the thing. I think it's real talk moment. It's like if I have just slightly not enough to do, I just hate it. Like, you just feel bored and worthless and listless, and like you can play video games or read for a while, but you just get bored.
You're addicted, aren't you?
But then if you have slightly too much to do, it's just like you're sinking in water and people are throwing you a shovel going, dig, dig.
Like, just balancing on a little top edge, like, just enough work.
Exactly.
But
It's
not
like
enough to drown.
It's like that, and I've definitely been a bit overloaded the past couple of weeks doing this podcast relaunch stuff. I know all of you have been overloaded with various things. So we want to do lots of new stuff. It's going to depend on our time, what we find interesting at the moment, and what we can realistically produce. So any big plans, we're talking about them. If you don't see them immediately, we haven't given up on any of them. Like, we're not going back on anything we're saying. We are definitely doing all of this. Some of it's just going to trickle in slowly as we're able to make it happen, because we don't want this to become a burden on everybody where they don't want to do it anymore, because that's definitely not the goal of the podcast. But so to answer your question the most politician way possible, yes, we want to do that. To answer,
it's my hope, honestly, to I mean, obviously have a very polished podcast and polished conversations and stuff, but also to have some more just kind of fun, lighthearted, if we're all hanging out, just give you a little behind the scenes of something we might be doing at the time, just to keep content fresh and, you know, keep it fun, so, you know, we kind of get the shenanigans out a little bit more.
Yep, I agree. And the fights, the fights.
PC's better. No, it isn't innovated at all.
Well, what's a real innovation that Windows has brought? Joel, I just want to eat my burrito.
Chuck Hutchins in chat mentions Joel doesn't have good lighting. Joel does have good lighting if he would drive his lazy butt to Dave's house and pick the box up.
I like having my office look nice.
You paid for this.
Joel could just turn on his lights too.
That's true. Joel could just turn on his overhead lights. Joel has options.
I'll turn this one on.
All right.
Well, if he turns on one light behind him,
Yeah, but it's like.
Hallelujah.
Well, we
Do
can
you
actually
love
see
that?
you now, so there's
no,
that.
it's better
It
to have
looks
your face
better.
lit, and well, it's blown out in the back. So no, that's not better. Go ahead and turn it off. But Joel, I asked you if you'd set up the softbox, and you did. You said you would. So this isn't like I just want my office to look nice. Promises were made. Buck up.
I need to find just a better lighting system that I can have here because I just there's nowhere I can put it where I don't want to take it down, put it up, take it down, put it up. I want to find something that's gonna be more
Use some
permanent.
small little lamps.
I have an idea
Yeah.
actually. Like an LED strip would probably work.
Yeah,
like a
I was even
compact
thinking about
LED
getting
strip.
another lamp that I have right here and just having dual ones to have nice.
That'd probably work.
Joel
If it was
loves his
high-
lamps.
If it was a little bit
Yeah.
higher, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's all of our big news. So we're gonna actually talk about some gaming news because this is a gaming podcast and we need to do that at some point. But we just want to thank everybody. Thank you for coming out. Thank you for believing in us. We've got lots of exciting things planned, and we hope you all enjoy them, and we hope you all come along with us while we discover them. So let's talk about some news.
News time.
Thank you. All right.
I'm used to so the.
Now, this is great because the hard work's done. We just get to cut back and be salty because has it been a week?
This has been a salty week.
We weren't even gonna do news this week, but the news happened and we have to cover it. We're gonna start
Yeah,
with one of
we
my
have to.
favorites. Batman Arkham Knight came out, and the early review footage looked like it ran perfect on the PS4. 30 FPS, locked, no dipping, no issues. We were all like, awesome, this is going to be great. And then it turns out it's like the worst PC port maybe of all time. It was developed supposedly by like 12 people in 8 weeks. It was the
Yeah.
definition of a shoddy port. It's so bad. In what is, I think, the first time this has ever happened, Rocksteady has stopped selling the game like 24 hours after release. They've pulled it from the digital shelves until they can fix the issues. That's bad. Like, that is all kinds of bad. Games don't do that. Battlefield just
Yeah,
said,
I was
screw it.
I was really surprised. I was playing with Shane on Halo, and he just goes, "They took Batman off of Steam," and I was like, "What?"
Where were you when they took Batman off of Steam?
Because because I'm gonna say, I've played probably about 3 or 4 hours of the game. I wouldn't say it's the worst port ever. Like, okay, Dark Souls 1, like when you're playing it, the game doesn't hitch or anything. It doesn't freak out that way.
Joel,
It's the
what hardware
multiplayer
do you
network
have?
stuff.
What hardware do you have?
What hardware do I have?
Yeah.
What do you mean? I've got a GTX 980 and I have a quad core
i7?
something. Yeah, I have an i7.
He can't
so
help it.
That's a pretty
said that
beast
with
computer.
He said that with pride. I'm proud of you, Joel.
The people, some people like us can like power through it. The hitching's still there. There's nothing you can do about that. And
Yeah,
the fact that the
that's
game,
yeah.
I actually haven't been able to get into game. It crashes on the menu every single
But
time.
the textures look like
Well, that's actually not like the main issues. There's no ambient occlusion on the PC version. There's not as much anti-aliasing. The textures are lower quality. Like the stuff the PC excels in, they just didn't include.
And you have
Yeah.
a beast computer too.
I have a beast computer
you
too. I should be able to run it really
You should be looking
well.
at a glorious image, running at a glorious frame rate.
And
Yeah.
I'm just not able to. Not only that, I tested it on my computer. You know how Battlefield 4 has a little bit of a memory leak, and that's why it won't run on the Potato Masher, even though it meets the minimum requirements?
It's got Alzheimer's.
I tested Arkham Knight on my computer after a fresh restart, and the game, not my computer, the game hit, what was it, 8.5 gigabytes of RAM usage.
what in the world?
If you don't know how much that is, most games themselves never hit above, the max I've ever seen is 3.5 gigs, and most games don't go above 2.5.
Yeah.
8.5 gigs, like it started at 4 and then just worked its way up over like the course of 10 minutes and was still sneaking its way up a little bit before I turned it off. That's like a huge problem. Like if you have to have 16 gigs of RAM to run this game, that's bad. That's legitimately bad. We shouldn't be at that point. What else is wrong with the PC version?
I mean,
It has less texture detail.
Honestly,
than the
some of that
PS4.
stuff, like, that. I'd honestly even be fine with it being locked at 30. Like playing it when it's locked, like it was working
yeah,
fine.
the PC
So for
version's
first-
locked at
for the
30, you
first-
have
For the
to,
first
like-
like 30 minutes, it was honestly fine for me, and it's so smooth at 30. At least for the first 30 minutes. That, I mean, it was fine. It's Batman. It looked great. I was like, okay, whatever. If it's locked at 30, as long as it runs fine, you know. But really, it was when like you went up to press buttons, yeah, and the textures were literally, I mean, worse than like original Xbox. Like, they were really bad. I was like, what in the world? Like, why are they not loading? And then you jump into your Batmobile and it just goes and it just stops. And you hear this. Yeah, you just hear the music going dun, 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 and you're like, I'm gonna be a badass. I'm gonna be a badass. Stop. 6 seconds later, and you're right back into it again.
Oh, like, that's horrible.
Now, was this worse than Watch Dogs when it first came out?
Yes.
Because I didn't play it on the PC.
Oh yeah, it's definitely worse than. I mean, Watch Dogs had all kinds of problems, but no, it's definitely worse than Watch Dogs.
Now, it's worse than Far Cry 4 on PC too.
Oh, Far Cry 4 was way better than this.
Yeah. I'm saying because that kind of hitched and didn't like the mount. Yeah. It wasn't as amazing, but
for you, Joel, I think that was your video card's memory
as well. I did it on 1080p as well. It was still early. It was still early game as well. So
gotcha.
So, but technical reasons aside, what's going on in the background as far as how they set up the team to do this port?
It's the same team that did Arkham Origins, I believe, and that port didn't work well when it first came out. And then after Arkham Origins released, they got it working decently well, but then they said, we're going to stop fixing bugs and just work on DLC now. Like, they literally said that.
Oh, so they're like Project Cars.
We're getting to that. So something I do want to say, in the interest of full disclosure, we've gotten a lot of requests to review Arkham Knight on the Potato Masher. And we are going to, because I got a code for it with my 970s. So we're definitely going to review it. But it's not going to be up anytime soon. And that might look to some people like we are waiting till they fix all the issues. That's honestly not the reason. The reason is I have 2 games sitting here right now from GameFly waiting to be reviewed on the Potato Masher. So I need to do those first. So honestly, I won't be able to get to Batman for at least 3 weeks. Will it be fixed by then? With as many issues as they are? Honestly, I don't think it will be.
Do the codes even work at this point?
Oh, yeah. I can still open up the game and play it. Oh, do the NVIDIA codes? I don't know. I don't know if you can... You've got to be able to still redeem it, though, because those codes are already
you can still redeem it, yeah.
But you just can't install it maybe in the game now?
Yeah. For anyone who thinks we're maybe like trying to skirt around this, if we reviewed it right now, the PS4 would 100% win that comparison. I don't even have it installed on the Potato Masher, and I know for a fact it would 100% PS4 would be better. It runs great on the PS4, and by all intents and purposes, like for all the reviews I've read and everything, it's an awesome game. It's an amazing superhero game. I'm super pumped to play it.
Yeah, 3 hours in, it's just like, oh, Batman, it's just awesome.
So don't take any of this criticism we're saying. We're criticizing the decision to do a really terrible port and force it on people and then take it off the stores and everything. That's what we're upset about, not about the game itself. We will do, in like 3 weeks, whenever I get to it, if the game is broken, I will still do the video. And I'll do another video 6 months later if they fixed it, just to talk about it. We are not going to shirk away from the fact that the Potato Masher is almost definitely going to lose this. But I just can't do it for the next couple of weeks because of the other things I have coming up. And I just wanted to be upfront about that so everyone understood. There's no funny business going on. And I am looking forward to trying it. If it one day gets completely fixed, I'd like to see how well it runs. Our next thing, Project Cars. So... the other 3 of you guys aren't super into car games. James is a little bit, right, James? Like you're medium
I like
interested.
some games.
You like cars. Like you've got a...
I like cars.
Yeah. But you are not like super into hardcore racing games.
Correct.
I am. Singularity 80 is. Steven in chat. We did an hour-long, pretty much casual conversation where we reviewed Project Cars. We were super excited about it. It's the most beautiful racing game I've ever seen. It's the Dark Souls of racing games, if that makes Joel interested at all. Like, it's got a steep learning curve, and it will reward you so much when you get used to it. But as it turns out this week, the Project Cars devs might not be as great as we thought they were. They have been great up until, like, this week. So I'm still willing to give them a little bit of the benefit of the doubt, but they announced that the Wii U version is on permanent hiatus. They announced this when they did their Kickstarter. One of the platforms would be the Wii U. I think they also said 360 and PS3, and they dropped those midway through saying, yeah, it just can't run on those. But now they said that the Wii U version is on hiatus. This week, here's what happened. some Nintendo fans complained about that because probably some of them kickstarted it and were upset about it. And the head of Slightly Mad Studios, the developers of the game, said that these fans...
What an ironic name.
Yeah. He said these gamers' sense of entitlement is... What do you say? It's crazy how entitled these gamers are because they're upset that we've canceled this game on this one platform. And... Yeah,
the crap.
He said the level of entitlement is crazy, and he basically told people just to screw off. And he actually told one guy, said, "Here, I'm quoting you like when I talk to other people about this." And he said, "That's fine. When you quote me, tell them we don't like Nintendo gamers here. Like we don't like Nintendo's fans here." I was like, "What on earth?" Even if that's sarcasm, and I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt that it was
that's
sarcasm.
Crazy.
But like, you don't say that. Just like this is not nearly as bad as. Well, no, this is worse than anything Dean Hall ever said. Dean Hall's biggest gaffes with DayZ was just he needed a PR guy to carefully word statements.
To tell him no.
Well, to carefully word statements so it didn't sound like he was promising things that he wasn't intending to. Like, that was his big PR mistake. This is, they're just, like, being a douchebags. Also, they announced a Kickstarter, or was it a Kickstarter or just a funding campaign off their website?
It's a funding campaign.
Like a funding campaign to their website for Project Cars 2. The game has been out a month. And they are already trying to fund Project Cars 2. Now, to be fair, it looks like it's a more rally-focused game. But at the same time, they've talked about how they're going to support Project Cars for years and years. And they're still saying they're going to. So people are kind of wondering, why not just build that content as an expansion for Project Cars and include it in the base game, like charge people money for that. People would pay $30 for a nice big expansion to the game. I would.
The only thing I would say on that is that, I mean, obviously, I mean, you do, if you're going to make a new game, you do need to start now. So, I mean, if it's something like 2.5 years from now or 2 years from now they're coming out with it, well, if they need funding, they're going to need it now to start. I mean, that only part makes sense, but I think the stuff that doesn't make sense is...
They're a small studio, though. It's not like...
They're like 150 people now. They're not that small.
But they could be absolute...
Oh, okay.
They could waste tons and tons of money on what they're doing. So, I mean... It sounds more of like, since they're being douchebags going, oh, we're not going to put on Wii U, which I can understand going, crap, we can't do it, but they should be groveling going, guys, we are going to give you a code for this system. We apologize, not going, screw you guys. Like, you gave us like $60 probably for the game.
Well,
that was a separate issue, though.
Yeah, we don't know. We don't know if the people who kickstarted the game, if anyone's not getting codes. So we're not going to comment on that. We don't know if they're not going to. You can assume some of the people who kickstarted the game were Nintendo fans, though, and are definitely upset by this. But we have no confirmation either way that people who paid money for it are getting copies. So just want to be clear about that. But I understand they need to start getting money now if they want to make a second game. But they said they were going to support this for years. And like Steven and I were talking about, we did our review, we were so excited at the time, we would happily pay big money for like a huge car expansion pack or more tracks or whatever. Like, we would love to give them money because they did such a good job. There's no way I'm helping fund this. The way they've been acting this week, and like this really makes it seem like the first game was almost a proof of concept and they're ready to cash grab on the second. Maybe that's not their intention, but everything they're doing this week points to that. Like, that's what it sounds like. That's what it looks like. And that's really unsettling. That sucks.
Well, the thing is, like, you know, the creator of Shenmue said, I mean, obviously they've had a very successful Kickstarter, but he said he wants to make more games to finish out the story. And that, you know, I'm perfectly fine, like, with that. I mean, if there's more story to tell, that's different than supporting a racing game where it's, you know, it's kind of not feature complete compared to what they're going to do in the second game. I mean...
Yeah,
it makes sense to announce early that you're going to try to do multiple games.
It does, but when the game
not for a racing game when it was already delayed,
you'll get an updated track of a track you've already played 18 times.
Another interesting thing, they've promised one new car every month as a thank you for everyone who supported it. The first car came out soon, like a couple days after it launched, or no, like launch day. That second car hasn't really shown up yet. Just says coming soon. Don't really know anything about it. So much like some of that Battlefield Premium stuff, no real idea when some of those cars are launching. It certainly isn't 1 month after release. So they're already not doing some of the support stuff they said they were going to for the first game, and they've announced a campaign for the second game, and they're being dicks to people online. I'm gonna still play Project Cars. None of that takes away from the fact that it's a good game, but I'm kind of disappointed in the developers, and I'm not excited about Project Cars 2 right now. Like I'm not looking forward to giving them any more money unless things rapidly turn around in the next week or two.
Dude, game development is like
a lot of
running for president. You
It
can
is.
say anything you want, promise anything you want, and as soon as you become president, you don't have to do jack squat. You can do whatever you want.
No, that's true.
That's a good analogy. Yeah, this has been a lot of bridge burning for them for 1 week. Yeah,
I
that's
hope a
not-
lot
I feel like this has
catches
been
up
a
to people.
bridge burning week for a lot of people. I mean that leads into my.
So we'll segue into James's topic.
more love for
I
The
can't
Witcher
wait.
for me.
I read the title. I was like, ooh, what's this?
This is if you guys listen to 100 or listen to any of the casual conversations from E3, you will know that most of us were disappointed with Nintendo's E3.
I didn't care, but only because
announcement.
I've been disappointed in Nintendo so many years ago that I don't care anymore. But yeah.
Well, for those of us that were living in the era when Nintendo was big, this week's been rough for that. I mean, right after the conference, people were obviously complaining on Twitter and stuff, and there was a tweet that was misinterpreted from Iwata that was supposedly saying, we hear your concerns, thank you, blah, 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 we'll take it into consideration. And, okay, that's fine, that they at least heard their fans. And then, a couple days later, Reggie gets on Twitter and says, no, that's not what he's saying. He's saying that we heard you, but we're very happy with da-da-da-da-da-da. And so that was, that for me, that was strike one. Strike two, they gave their reasoning for not doing Super Mario Maker on YouTube. If you have a console or even a PC, and you enjoy sharing your games with your friends, it's really easy to do now. If I'm just saying, hey Joel, check this game out really fast, I'll put it on Twitch or YouTube or something really fast. It takes literally 20-30 seconds. And Nintendo's excuse was, we really want people to experience the game. We don't want them to just watch it. But that's where we're at,
They're so out of touch with how things are in 2015. It's just...
I think they've made the mistake of the Wii was such a huge hit, they probably thought they just couldn't lose. And
Did you read that article, James, about, I think it was Miyamoto talking about how the Wii U gamepad, they really, when it was about to come out, they didn't realize how much iPads and tablets were coming out so popular that when it came out, it was like, crap, this is a much bigger thing than... they were already so behind by the time they came out. They've
always been behind the curve.
Yeah.
They've always played it too safe. But what else happened this week? They mentioned that F-Zero was apparently supposed to be a launch title, and they had asked Criterion, the makers of Burnout, to make it, but the launch window they gave them was so short, they're like, we just don't have time. And so, a couple years later, we still don't have an F-Zero game. And then the last thing that I just read before we started the podcast was, they're doing their mobile platform, which they're behind. They're behind their content, but they're really still. Apparently, they've said they're still against mobile gaming, which is, for me, stupid because I don't think the 3DS market's going to be around too much longer. I mean, I love my 3DS. It's fun, but phones are getting too powerful to
ignore,
to look at. Yeah.
I
mean, it's just
there's
been a
room
lot
for
of
Nintendo to do stuff. I think there's definitely room for Nintendo to do stuff on iOS. I mean, I'm still one for don't get rid of 3DS stuff because I like actually having dedicated buttons because I hate mobile gaming on a phone because I think most of it sucks. Now, the Fallout game is very fun, but touch games work well for being touch games. Outside of that, they suck.
But if you've used something like a Moga controller or some of the other Bluetooth controllers,
yeah, I mean, awesome. Could you imagine
really well?
if Nintendo came out with one, like a dedicated one? Oh gosh.
Yeah, I mean,
I'd be
just
sold immediately.
Fit the phone into the top part and just play a game. Mm-hmm. Which I think that's going to probably end up being a future podcast. How Nintendo could fix themselves.
Yeah.
Castration.
Oh my.
I can't remember. There was something else, but Nintendo for me just had a really bad week of just.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, we did this. Oh, by the way, Joel.
So Joel, is it time for 90 seconds with Joel? The part of the podcast where we talk about whatever Joel wants to for 90 seconds?
Yeah, we're at an hour and 30 minutes, and we're getting close to the end, so we can finish this, and we're still fairly decent on time. This is
yeah, obviously, this podcast is not an hour long one. That starts next week.
Yeah.
We get a free pass.
I had a really, really weird dream. Jeremiah, you were in it.
Good.
And Shane was in it.
Oh, who's Shane? Who is Shane?
Ultra Grunt. And
Ultra Grunt in the chat right now?
I don't know.
The one who's coming to see us in a few weeks?
Yeah, the one that's coming. It was right at me and Shane and Amelia, we all played Halo for a couple hours, and Steven as well. But I think we just played so long, Halo was on my mind. But the weird dream was nothing about Halo. I was like, what the heck? I woke up like, what the F? So it was me and Ultra Grunt. We were driving in a vehicle, like those rocky cliff, like Italy, like roads that you see. You drive right off a cliff into the ocean. We're driving freaking fast. Cowboy music is playing. Okay. So I'm driving.
Specific.
Shane's just sitting there, and I think it was like the perspective of watching GTA, where you're just sitting there and the people are just doing this or waving and giving the finger out the window. We weren't even talking. We were just flying down the road. We crashed through the guardrails. We're flying into the clouds, and we're like, we're going to die. All of a sudden, Jeremiah just goes, he busts through the top of the car.
You're making this up.
I'm not.
Are you serious?
I'm not. You bust through the top, land, and you're like, mods can fix this, bitch. And you do the shift, and we just drive right back on the road, and I just remember hearing rocks crumble, and then I woke up, and I was just like, what the crap?
That's so relevant. What on earth?
He was just like, mods can fix. I was just like, what in the world? But the weirdest part is, I don't remember where Shane went. I think you slid into his seat and he just disappeared. But it was
Probably went back to the UK because of weird ass Americans.
He's like, yeah, I'm out. This is.
it was so funny because I was like, it was so weird. You just like shifted like Furious 7 and you were just like, whoa, right from the clouds back onto the road. I was like,
do you want to give some background on the whole bro dream thing?
I don't think that's gonna fix anything or make it any worse or any better.
But for the viewers that may not have heard the other bro dream story.
Oh there was a couple months ago that had Ultra Gun in it as well, and there was just bees and we were running from them, and he was like the size of a sumo wrestler. And it was just, I don't even remember it anymore. It was something to do with bees and sumo wrestling.
You were trying to swat him off him or something?
I was trying to swat. But I just have this, whenever I have a dream, it's like really strange. It's just always extremely abstract. So, but yeah, that was my dream.
I have a confession to make. I had my first bro dream about Ultra Grunt this week too.
Yeah.
It wasn't nearly as exciting.
Guys, he's not going to come visit if you guys keep this up.
He's going to come visit.
This is what happens when we play till like 2 or 3 in the morning.
Yeah,
like
that's true.
The brain's all messed up and go to sleep. But no, we were hanging out, like we were at somebody's house, and it was like a party or something. I'm like, man, I really want to find a guitar. Let's jam. And I'm like, searching high and low for a guitar, like asking all these friends if they have guitars at their house. And then Shane fell asleep in a chair, which I know is just not real because Shane doesn't sleep. But yeah, that was just my dream. It was just like Joel's, except a little less awkward.
A little less.
What's awkward about flying into the sky in a car, like busting out to some cowboy music, and then you just go like superhero? It was just so like, you ruined my roof.
Was that like Brokeback Mountain? Like, was that the sequel? So who's going to be next? That's we're taking bets on who's going to be next.
I don't.
Well, I
have
don't
a
sleep,
bro
so
dream.
you know.
I hope
don't.
Jeremiah has one.
I don't actually like. Everyone dreams, but I don't dream in the sense that I never have dreams I remember. I just go to sleep and wake up. I maybe have like 2 dreams a year.
I have at least 10 dreams a night.
Oh my, that has to be a very stressful existence.
James, I was driving. James fell asleep for, no joke, a minute. Seriously. I'll be looking, like, we were driving to a U2 concert, and James, like, fell asleep. It was, like, really freaking early in the morning. And I was like, hey, James, because he fell asleep for 1 minute. I didn't realize he was actually asleep. So I was like, hey, James. He's like, oh. He like wakes up and he's like, dude, I gotta tell you about my dream. I was like, dude, you've been asleep for 60 seconds. He's like, he tells me this detailed dream. Like it was like in Inception.
Long dream.
Yeah, it was like a 15-minute, like it took him a very long time to tell the dream. I'm like, what the crap? Inception's real.
Or narcolepsy's real.
That's not movie worthy.
If Christopher Nolan made it, I'd watch it.
Well, that's true of most things.
Yeah.
As we wrap the podcast down, what else do you guys want to talk about?
I think we covered it all. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can't think of anything. It's gonna be exciting. Let's see where we go.
Yeah, shout out to everybody for all the hard work on the website and all the planning and stuff like that. Everybody's been working hard, so good work, guys.
Yeah, it's been awesome. I'm playing our old outro music this time, just because, for old time's sake, I haven't really decided how we're doing the outros yet. But we had a new updated theme song you guys might have heard on the intro. That's made by Joel. New logo by Joel. Logo by Joel. That could be the name of your company. But you can always find us.
I was going to say I want to wrap things down because I can smell cookies baking right now.
All right.
Like under the door is blocked, I can smell the fresh cookies underneath the door.
I got you, Dave. I got you.
All right.
I got you.
Bring us home.
You can find us on Twitter at casualshenanigans, on YouTube, youtube.com/casualshenanigans, and at casualshenanigans.com. You can also subscribe to us in iTunes. You can support us on Patreon, and you can find me and Dave at youtube.com/JERMgaming and EvilViking13. Come check us out. Come look at our content. Go watch old podcasts. And thank you to everyone who writes in, who supports us, who does everything else. Thank you. We will definitely be promoting some of this stuff again and discussing it on future episodes for everyone who didn't maybe pick up every single detail when we talked about it tonight. But thank you. We're excited about the future. We're excited about how far we've come, and we have awesome stuff planned. So from all of us to all of you, thanks for watching. James is shaking his head like, yeah, don't say that anymore.
No, that's my. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. All right. But thank you.
No, if I don't mean, I'm like,
okay. All right, cool. Anyway,
no, you didn't.
That's the show, guys. 101 episodes. There you go. Tune in next week for 102, where we will be debuting the new shorter podcast format and some of the other changes we talked about.
With content.
And for now, stay casual.